The Texas men fall on the road to OU, and the Dallas Mavericks add one last piece for the second half of the season. All this and much more coming up on College Crossfire.
Where the hell's the rest of it?
Here's the rest of it.
Taylor's not even here to defend himself.
I'm so excited. Welcome into tonight's episode of College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jeff Barker. Let's get right into it tonight by introducing you to tonight's panel. First up, our first two guys, we got the Battle of the Jakes. It's Jake Lapin, last week's champ, and Jake Loessin. Jake, you're making your first appearance of this semester. You won on a couple times last semester.
Yeah, I was on a couple times last semester, Jeff.
And then Matt Adams down there at the end making his second appearance of his entire career, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, well, let's get right into it. The Texas men's basketball team traveled to Norman, Oklahoma last night, looking to extend their winning streak to 4 games. Unfortunately for the Longhorns, though, they weren't able to do that. The Longhorns held a 6-point lead with a few minutes remaining, but could not hold on, scoring just 5 points in the last 3.5 minutes of the game. Texas is now 17-9 overall and 6-7 in Big 12 play, which puts them right on that tournament bubble with just about 5 games left to play. So, guys, what are Texas's tournament hopes right now, or where does that stand? Jake?
Well, we knew this next 5-game stretch was going to be tough, but they had a great opportunity in Norman, and they blew it. They were up 6 with 3.5 minutes to go, and then all of a sudden their offense went away. They just couldn't score. And the blame goes to Jonathan Holmes. He couldn't hit water from a boat. Isaiah Taylor, also a bad game. They combined for 3 of 19. But they still have a chance. They have 4 games left where they can really capitalize and still get some momentum going towards a tournament bid.
And it seems like the game last night, the way it ended, looked like they had it, like you said, and it just was so symbolic of the way that the season's gone for them so far. Jake Lapin, what do you think?
You know, I think the window is closing very quickly. Look, they needed that signature win last night against OU. Didn't happen. My fear is, you know, like you said, 5 games left, 4 of them versus ranked opponents in the top 25. And from the record this year versus ranked opponents, it hadn't been good. So I don't think that there's a chance that they make the tournament just based off of their games against ranked opponents this season.
Boo! You don't even think if they finish 500 the rest of the way, or 3-2, 2-3?
I mean, it's going to be tough. The way they played the regular season this year, it was just a disappointment. I don't see it happening.
All right. Matt, what do you think? You a little more positive?
I don't have a lot of hope going into this tournament for the Texas Longhorns. This next 4-game stretch, Iowa State coming here, it's going to be tough. Going to Lawrence, it's not going to be any easier for the Longhorns. Possibly pick up wins against West Virginia and Baylor, unless they do something really spectacular in the Big 12 tournament. Possibly, you know, maybe reach the finals. Highly unlikely, but I don't have. I know they're offensively they were more aggressive against OU, but again, defensively they gave up a lot. They're not going to cut it here.
When right now it's not even looking that great for them to make a run in the Big 12 tournament because they're in the 7th spot right now, which means that you got 10 teams that all make it. So they're going to play on the first night, probably against either Texas Tech or TCU. But it's not going to be easy when you got to play an extra game there. Gets you an extra win, but not necessarily any closer to the signature win that they don't have right now and they need.
Well, that first game could also be in their favor, could get them some momentum going forward. They could get on a roll. We saw what Kemba Walker and UConn did all those years ago, 5 wins in 5 nights. So anything's possible at this point. I'm more optimistic than these two. I think they have a real shot. They need to win 2 of the next 4.
So you mentioned Kemba Walker. I'm not too optimistic. I don't know if I'd make that comparison just because I don't know if Texas has a guy that can take over. And I think that's one of the things that's been hurting them all season. But now, I'm going to give everyone a point right here to start off. We're going to talk about one Longhorn in particular that has been up in his play a little bit. That's Miles Turner, the guy the Longhorns were hoping to get more production from all year. In the last few weeks, he's finally started coming into his own with 25-point and 17-point performances in his last 2 outings. Can the recent spark from Turner and even guys like Kendall Yancey, who dropped 14 in Norman, Oklahoma last night, can that help the Longhorns turn things around? Jake Lapin?
You know, I think it's too little too late. Turner, you know, 2nd game in a row, double-double. That's great. You're right, like you said, he's coming into his own. You know, Yancey also scoring 14 points. It's his career high. They are improving, and I look to them for the future, and I think they're going to be very key factors in the future. But just for this season, I think it's too little, too late, and that they are an important role in next season.
God, it's so negative, man.
Hey man, telling it like it is.
All you guys bringing the negative energy tonight so far. Matt, what do you think? I mean, all valid points though, Jay.
I definitely agree that it's a little too late here. Miles Turner, again, 25.17, double-double. I do like that Kendall Yancey, he's coming along here. He is playing aggressive. I'm just afraid that he's not going to be able to be that consistent second guy for Miles Turner. Other teams are going to figure out a way to shut him down and make Isaiah Taylor, Javon Felix, and others try to beat him.
Jake Lapin?
Lift this up, Jake.
Yeah,
Bring the positive vibes.
I'm thrilled with what I've seen from Miles Turner in the past 2 games. Yeah, it was due. He was number 2 recruit, but it's definitely a positive thing going forward with these guys. Javon Felix, Kendall Yancey starting to contribute. If only Holmes and Taylor could do something, then the team would have actually won in Oklahoma last.
Or if only they could all play well together on one single day.
Yeah, the different pieces are coming together here and there. Hopefully, at the right time, they all start firing on all cylinders.
All right. Well, anyone else have anything to say before we move on?
I don't see it. Like I said, would have been great if they would have started off the season that way. That's great that they're improving, but they didn't, and I expected more.
I would say one thing that'll help with Yancey and Turner coming along, get a little more in there to Cameron Ridley. Javon Felix, yeah, he has been improving. He has looked a little better. If both those guys can get some consistency here, those 3 to 4 guys, they might be able to go a little further than we think.
Well, before they get it inside to Ridley and eBay and Turner and even Holmes down there, they're going to need somebody to start knocking down an outside shot so the defense doesn't just sag down all the time.
That was Holmes last year, though, and it just seems like he's not the same Jonathan Holmes that he was last season.
Maybe trying to do a little too much. Jake, what do you think real quick before we move on?
The problem has been for Turner all year that he's a freshman. I don't think he wants to step in and take that leading role, especially because Holmes has had it all year long. But now that Holmes is struggling, it's time for Turner to step up, take control of this team.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give Jake the point on this one. Came with a little more positive energy, but I do think it is time for Miles Turner to really come in, and with Holmes struggling, as you guys all mentioned, it's his time to come in and take over. Jake Lapin going to get the point on that one. And well, ever since the Horns started struggling on the court this year, this year after coming in with high expectations, folks have been talking about Rick Barnes' job security. And last night's semi-meltdown obviously makes it even hotter topic now. So how do you guys see Barnes' job security as it stands at the moment? Matt?
I don't feel good about his job security at all. I mean, I know he's done some wonderful things for Texas in the past with TJ Ford getting to the Final Four, working with LaMarcus Aldridge and Kevin Durant. But these last several years, it just hasn't been there with Rick Barnes. And with Steve Patterson, the new athletic director, he has experience having been with the Houston Rockets organization. He's got to feel the pressure of, hey, we got to get basketball up to speed here. If we want football, baseball, and everything else to be dominant here at Texas, we have to get basketball also to that level. So unless Barnes, unless he does something really incredible here in the Big 12 tournament coming up in the end of the season, maybe, but not looking too good.
When Patterson came in last year, was able to get his guy in there for football, obviously Texas's flagship sport. Keeping Augie in there with baseball, you'd like to think that if they continue to struggle, Patterson's going to want to get his basketball guy in there as well. Jake Lapin, what do you think?
Look, I'm a bigger Rick Barnes supporter than most, and you have to realize that the reason the team is underachieving so much this year is because of what he was able to achieve last year with a team that was expected to go nowhere. And now this season, yeah, they're struggling, but they still have a chance to turn it around. I think it's too early to say Rick Barnes is fired. He still has a chance to save himself. But if the team does bounce out early, and Steve Patterson, a great basketball mind, like he said, former GM, if he has his replacement, he has his guy, then I wouldn't cry myself to sleep if Barnes was fired, if the right replacement was chosen.
Okay. Jake Loessin?
I think we got to look at this realistically. Football has always been the sport at the University of Texas. Everything else has come second. What Rick Barnes has done for this basketball team, he's made it relevant. Year in and year out, always in the top 25 contenders, And I just think that it's too early to count him out. You look at, his resume, he's taken, in 15 seasons, or 17 seasons, he's been in the tournament 15 times. And he's been in the Final Four, made the Elite Eight 3 times, Sweet 16 5 times. I don't see I can get rid of a guy, with that kind of resume.
And anybody else real quick before we go to break?
I guess the only thing I disagree with that is looking down here, this last stretch from 2010 on, he's had multiple times where they have been number one and they have just crashed every time at the end of this season.
Well, who else is in the market? Who else who are you going to hire if you get
I
rid of
mean,
him?
unless you want to go a young guy, there's Brad Stevens there for the Celtics. I know he's doing bad with the Celtics, but he was great for Butler. There's Shaka Smart. You go after the Wichita State coach.
Wow.
There are some other options out there. And you have to look at, with Miles Turner being a number 2 recruit, the 2012 class he signed was 3rd overall. He's got talent here, and he hasn't been able to work with it.
I think Barnes is a great recruiter, sound defensive coach, but the offensive woes are struggling, and the lack of execution and adjustments in winnable games has just gotten very frustrating.
But if you look at the people that he's put in the NBA, Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge, TJ Ford had a great career. That's not just leaving them, at Texas. When they're leaving the university, they're going to do great things in the pros, and I think you got to look at that too.
Okay, I think, Jake, good points from both Jakes. I think I'm going to give Matt the point on this one going into break. It's going to be time for our first break of the night. Coming up, we'll talk Amari to the Mavs and the Cowboys potentially slapping the franchise tag on star receiver Des Bryant. Don't go anywhere. We're talking all this and much more coming up on College Crossfire. Back here on College Crossfire, thanks for sticking with us. Here's how the scores look after round one. It's Jake Lapin, last week's champion, with 2. Jake Loessin with 1, and Matt Adams down there at the end with 2. Now, guys, the Mavs added a new piece to their roster this week when Amari Stoudemire had his contract bought out by the New York Knicks. With the additions of Rondo earlier last month and Stoudemire to an already successful team, the Mavs look much different than they did on opening night of the season. So how will Stoudemire fit into the Mavs system, and does this addition make you feel any better about their potential championship hopes? Jake.
The Mavs are a good team, and Rick Carlisle's a great coach. I think he'll be able to get some production out of Amari Stoudemire, but I don't think it'll be enough. The West is just brutal this year, and it's an arms race, and the Mavs felt like they had to do something. They had to replace the gaping hole that Brendan Wright left when he was traded away for Rondo. And Amari is another backup big that they could use, but he's washed up. He's done. He's no longer relevant in the NBA, and the Mavs just have little to no chance of actually making a run because the West is too deep.
So you don't think that Amari can come in and fill that spot that Brandon Wright filled?
He's not nearly as athletic as he used to be, and he's a terrible defender.
But the price they're getting him for, it's something wild. Like, I think it's the veteran minimum. Now they just had his contract bought out, so it's like $477,000.
It's
That's
a good
steal for a guy that averaged 12 and 6, almost 7 rebounds.
I'm not arguing the math behind it. I'm arguing that just they're still not deep enough. It's
Just
not
too
strong
much competition
enough.
around
Too much
him?
competition.
All right, Jake Lapin.
He scores 20 points a night. He averages around 20 points every time. But, like Jake said, he's washed up. He's been in the league for, 13 years now? That's, back half of his career. And, also, the thing that bothers me a lot is Dallas is a very pass-oriented team. They like the high post screen. You want to know his assist averages? 1.8. So he doesn't pass that much, and when he does pass, it's not good. So you got to think about that, and I don't think it was a good move.
So you don't think he's going to mesh well with that team? You don't think he fits really well?
It's nice to always have another big guy laying around, but I don't think that he's the right guy. He's washed up, 13 years in the NBA already. I don't think that he's going to fit in well.
Matt Adams?
I think he adds a little bit, and the only reason I say that is because Amari Stoudemire, in this Dallas system, they do use a lot of pick and roll, and he is very comfortable in a pick and roll. I know he's been injured a lot, but the Mavericks medical staff, their head person is part of Team USA. Maybe that helps a little bit. He is very familiar with Tyson Chandler, having played with him in New York. Again, yeah, he's not Amari Stoudemire that we saw with the Phoenix Suns. He's not going to bring that. And yeah, for the Mavericks, I don't think it adds a whole lot because, yeah, the West is so deep. You're dealing with Golden State, Memphis, all the way down to the 8th seed that I believe OKC will take over. This is too deep a conference for the Mavs to compete in.
Oh, I think I'm gonna give Jake Lapin the point on this one. Kind of came with a different point there. I wasn't expecting to hear that about Amari's lack of passing ability. But Matt, Jake Lapin, I do think there's a lot of competition in the West. So who knows what'll happen? Who knows how much this will really help them out? I think if they can get 12 points, 6, 7 rebounds from him a game like he was giving the New York Knicks, maybe they'll help them out a little bit, but win them a championship, who knows? We'll see. Jake Lapin is going to get the point on this one. Now to some NFL free agency news. It's been reported by multiple sources that the Cowboys are leaning towards putting the franchise tag on Dez Bryant, and as expected, Dez didn't seem to be too happy about this. So there's probably more to the story going on behind the scenes that we aren't really aware of yet, but from what you guys know at the moment right now, from what we all know, is this the right move for the Cowboys? Jake?
Absolutely. Look, he's an integral part of the Cowboys offense. And, I mean, with the Cowboys having to juggle his contract and DeMarco Murray's, I think it's the right thing to do. He would still be making around $13 million just for the 2015 season with the franchise tag. I think he'd be a fool not to take it, but, you know.
I think a lot of guys look at the franchise tag as kind of sign of disrespect, that they're not really worth that long-term max contract. That I don't know if Dez is worth Calvin Johnson money, but he's worth pretty high money. He's definitely a top 5 receiver in the league. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is the right move for Dallas to do to keep both Dez, work on DeMarco Murray, and they still have to sign Rolando McClain and some other people. However, I don't see it happening. I think at the end of the day, Jerry Jones and them will give Dez Bryant the big contract. Jerry Jones and them, he's always going to find a way to give his stars more money than maybe it's really necessary.
Yeah, always been known as a guy that kind of overpays.
Yeah, exactly.
Jake Lapin?
In a perfect world, it'd be a great move, but we all know Dez is an emotional guy, and it's a bad idea. We saw the same thing with the Saints and Jimmy Graham last year. It just did not work out. They were horrible last year. Jimmy was unhappy, you could tell. Dez is a smart guy, and he's a top 2 receiver in the league, and he should be compensated like it. And he's not going to leave an extra $30 million on the table, because in the NFL, one play could end your career, and that guaranteed money is gone.
Yeah, Jake, I think I'm gonna go with you on this one. I don't know if Dez is the guy that I would necessarily want to mess with emotionally. He's already kind of been known as a spark plug kind of guy, can go off at any moment and set fire to a locker room. So, yeah, if you're a Cowboys fan, you definitely don't want to see that happen. But as you guys mentioned, Jake Loessin and Matt, you do want to see them hold on. If you're a Cowboys fan, you want to see them hold on to Dez and DeMarco if possible. But I don't know. I think if I'm Dez, I can kind of understand, wanting the max contract too. He's in the prime of his career right now, so I'd want 4 to 5 years and ton of money guaranteed. So I'm going to give Jake Lapin the point on this one. For our last round 2 question, we're going to talk Major League Baseball for a minute. Today was the first day that many pitchers and catchers reported to spring training for a few ball clubs. The rest will report in the next few days. But for this question, we're just going to talk about which team had the best offseason. Matt.
This one's a tough one, but I do feel like the San Diego Padres finished off with the best off-season. Being able to get pitcher James Shields in there, pulling Matt Kemp away from the Dodgers, I know that hurts you there. Being able to get Justin Upton in, they got a catcher in. They filled places they needed. They got in some reserve pitchers to deepen their pitching roster there, and they were able to still keep, most of their premier guys there. Offensively, I think there's still going to be some issues for them in the season, and defensively as well, but I think their pitching, the adjustments they made there, it'll definitely help them.
All right, Jake Lapin.
I like both of the Sox, both red and white, but I'm going to have to go with Boston here. They already have that great core in place. They won the World Series, and then last year they fell back to last place, so they have nowhere to go but up, really. And they bring in Hanley Ramirez, Pablo Sandoval, proven guys, marquee players. They're going to be phenomenal this year.
Jake Lapin.
I got to go Padres too. Signing 29 free agents, they're basically replaced their entire outfield. I get that they were a terrible team last season, 77 and 85. But you know what? They're being proactive and they're cleaning house, which is more than I can say for my Houston Astros. I guess during their offseason, they're hiring more beer vendors or something like that for Minute Maid Park, because
hey, you got to pay those guys big money, man. People need their beers.
You do, but inviting 3 minor leaguers to spring training camp, that's all you can get. Come on.
All right, Jake, I can see the Red Sox, but I think I'm going to go with Jake Loessin and Matt on this one. I think the Padres did a little bit better just because of how bad they've been the last few years. The Red Sox already have that championship pedigree. They did add some good guys that you mentioned, stealing Hanley Ramirez from my Dodgers, and then Pablo Sandoval from the world champion Giants. So those are good pickups, but I think the Padres have a little bit more to build on now than they did last year. So I'm going to give these two guys the point. And that's going to take us to our last break of the night. When we come back, we're going to crown a winner in our rapid fire round. Stay tuned. Thanks for sticking with us tonight on College Crossfire. Before we get into our rapid fire round, let's take one last look at the scoreboard. Actually, I don't even know if that's necessary. We're all tied up at 3, guys. Anybody's game going into rapid fire, these are all worth 2. And now in sports, we often hear the old cliche that you have to live and breathe the sport at all times. You want to be the best. Well, one Michigan college took that to a new level. Cornerstone University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, actually built dorm rooms inside of the stadium for their players to live in. You can see the pictures right here. So you guys think this is a cool idea? If you guys were a player, would you want it to be this way, or was this just too over the top for you?
Sign me up. I think that's awesome. If they did that at Dish, I would be living there, that's for sure. It's already way too far to go see a baseball game. They do that at the Toronto Blue Jays games. There's a hotel right there. I've been there once. Very cool experience. I like it.
Okay. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. You've got everything that you need literally at your fingertips. You don't have to go anywhere. And it's, nice for a coach, too. You don't have to worry about, any stragglers, like if you're going to a hotel, everyone's accounted for. I think it's a good move.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think that's great. Get them there. And plus, you got practices or anything there. They can, they want to wake up late. Hey, quickly roll out onto the field. Every college kid's going to be wanting to do that.
Am I alone in thinking that this is just ridiculous and over the top, though?
Well, the question was cool or lame, not over the top.
Yeah. well, you brought in the Dish, so I actually think it's kind of lame. If I wouldn't want to live there at Cornerstone University, right in that park right there.
It's as cool as it gets for Cornerstone University.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So all things considered, cool idea.
In perspective, yeah.
Just don't go to Cornerstone University.
Okay. Well, I'm about to graduate from here, so good thing for that. But, so I'm going to give everyone a point here. So we're all tied up at 5. Going into the second one, and the second rapid fire tonight, it's in honor of the Duke-North Carolina basketball rivalry taking place as we speak. We've used this one before on the show, but with that being said, best rivalry in all of sports. Everybody always comes with a unique one here. Go. Anybody jump in?
As cliche as it is, Texas OU. I've been to many college football venues. I've been to the Rose Bowl, been to Oxford, Mississippi, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I have not been to a better place to see a football game than at the Cotton Bowl, the State Fair, and it's just the environment is just amazing.
Alrighty.
Great experience.
I try to get creative with this answer, but I can't because you have to go with the Red Sox and Yankees. It goes so far back, and there's so many stories, countless, and you can go all the way back to the great Bambino curse, all the way to Pedro Martinez throwing down Don Zimmer. It's just you could talk about it for hours. It's got to be the greatest in sports.
Okay, so we got Texas OU and then Red Sox Yankees. Matt, what do you come with?
I'm going back towards more the college angle. I'm going Florida State, the U. And there are so many people in that. I know for the last 30, almost 40 years, it's been kind of a shorter one. But you have Deion Sanders, Derek Brooks, Ray Lewis, Michael Irvin. It just brings the best out of the state of Florida. You got all the tomahawk going. It's something those people are going to fight for.
I think it's something that I don't know if any of us have ever experienced. I won't speak for you guys. I've never experienced that rivalry. But I don't know if it's been that good over the course of history. Whereas Texas OU, that's been going strong for a while. And then you've been Red Sox Yankees, that's been going strong for a while. But I think when it's been good, that rivalry has been really good.
Between those schools, there's a total of 8 championships there. And, now 5 Heisman winners. They have produced.
Yankees have 3 times that by themselves.
Okay. Jake Lapin, you got anything to say for Texas OU?
Think of the Texas OU games that you've seen in recent history, when it was just unexpected. Take 2008, 45-35. Jordan Shipley takes that punt return or the kick return to the house, You think back to last year when all odds were against Texas and win by 19 points. Anything can happen in that game. It's a passionate rivalry. I just got to go with that.
A little Case McCoy wheel route.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go with Florida State Miami with Matt on that one. Like I said, I don't know if it's the best overall, but when it's been good, it's been really good. So Matt's gonna get those 2 points. And for our last rapid fire, we're gonna do a little something different here. We're gonna test how well our panelists know their past Super Bowl heroes. This is in light of this year's Super Bowl hero, Malcolm Brown. Or excuse me, not Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Butler.
Butler, there you go.
He took to the streets to chat with fans and see, if they knew who he was. And most fans still did not even recognize who Butler was until he revealed his identity at the end of the interview. So we're going to test you on a few of these guys first. See how well you know the Rican Super Bowl.
Kurt Warner.
All right. Well, everyone's getting a point on that one. So Matt's still up 2. Second one here.
Deion Branch.
All right, Deion Branch. So we got 7 for Matt. Jake Loessin with 5. Jake Lapin.
Only Patriot
with
MVP
6.
that's not Tom Brady.
Next one.
Oh,
Tracy Porter.
Malcolm Smith.
Total
Got it.
guess. Total guess.
You got 2-point lead going into this one. So Matt Adams is going to be our champion tonight. But this last one,
Heinz
easy one there. We had to start you with 2 easy ones and then toss a couple hard ones in the middle. But Malcolm Smith, the 6th round pick, is going to win it for Matt Adams tonight. You're going to have a little bit of FaceTime for you, Matt.
All right.
Go for it.
This is great. Guys, God, I don't even know where to go on this one, actually.
Whatever you want, man. It's your.
The only thing I gotta
to
say,
shine.
the only thing I gotta say is, Kobe Bryant came out this week. I know you're probably gonna hate me for this.
Probably will.
Him going, he believes he's still got a lot in him. Feels like he's got something like the Spurs. He said they were done 20 years ago. Gotta disagree with him on that, but I mean, 20 years ago we were working our way to 5 titles here, so I don't see that in store for Kobe, but.
Well, did you see what Kobe said in his GQ magazine interview too? He said it infuriates him. We got a little bit of time here before we sign off. But he said it infuriates him when people call him selfish because he extended his contract to stay and play with Shaq and win championships, and said that he could have gone anywhere and quote destroyed people.
Well,
I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, I don't know how much time we have left here, but ESPN had a quick deal that during all that feuding, there was a deal in place to send him to Washington with Michael. So I mean.
Would have been cool to see for a little while.
Yeah, it wouldn't have lasted, but yeah, definitely.
I don't know if they would have destroyed people with that roster.
Yeah.
But it would have been entertaining.
No.
True.
Wouldn't have to watch Tebow all day on SportsCenter if that pair had happened.
Well, Matt Adams is your champion tonight, guys. Jake Lapin, Jake Loessin, thanks for joining me on the show tonight. That's all the time we have for y'all tonight, but don't worry, we'll be back next week. Same place, same time for everyone in Master Control, the studio, and tonight's wonderful panel. We'll see you next week. John?